Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm Snow, and in this video, let's go over how to beat the boss on the upper floor of difficulty level 5 and 6 of Tower of Adversity. This floor is difficult, but it's very doable once you understand the boss and the floor mechanics. Let's start with the floor mechanics first. So the stage mutation for this stage is called Gentle Breeze, and at the start of the round, if the round number is a multiple of 3, it increases the movement of your characters by 2 tiles, and this effect is stackable and can't be dispelled or immunized. This is extremely helpful for completing this stage because you do need to move around the map a lot, and the map is quite large. So keep this mechanic in mind as we move forward. So the boss for the upper part of difficulty 5 and 6 is called Underworld Entangler, and the most important part about this boss is its trait skill. So at the start of the battle, you'll notice there's a bunch of sprouts or plants on the battlefield besides the boss. There's actually more of them on the map for difficulty 6 compared to 5, but we'll get into that a bit more later. These are called foul sprouts, and they can't be destroyed in this form. You basically do virtually no damage to them. They also reduce the amount of damage the boss takes, so you do have to destroy them, which is what the next part of the boss's trait skill goes into. The sprouts can only be destroyed when hit by the boss's Filthy Spore or Filth Release skills. Basically, the boss will attack with Filthy Spore and put that poison-looking effect on your characters. That's what I'm showing you in the video clip on the screen. On difficulty 5, 3 of your characters will get the effect, and on difficulty 6, 4 of your characters will get that effect applied on them by the boss. Those characters will now be targeted by the boss regardless of where you move on the map, which is fine. You want this to happen. This is just the first step to destroying the sprouts. The sprouts do need to be destroyed in a specific order, which I'll get into more detail in a bit. But in general, what you want to do is move each of your characters with that poison effect next to one of the sprouts. Make sure you move next to a different sprout with each character, and try to keep the unaffected characters that don't have the poison effect on them away from your affected characters. That way you can avoid them taking damage from the boss when the boss attacks your affected characters, because the boss will attack those characters that have that poison effect on them and deal a lot of damage, so it's best to avoid damage on your unaffected characters. Also, make sure to top off the HP for the characters affected by that poison effect before the boss attacks, because it will do a lot of damage to your characters, and that will allow them to survive the hit. Once the boss attacks, the sprouts your characters are standing next to will be destroyed, and they'll turn into silver blooms, toxic blooms, or bronze blooms depending on what sprouts your characters are standing next to. Also, that poison effect will be removed from your characters, so you don't have to worry about being targeted again, at least for now. You can just focus on taking out the blooms and then attacking the boss. So the small sprouts will turn into 4 silver blooms, the medium sprouts will turn into 2 toxic blooms, and the large sprouts will turn into 1 bronze bloom. The bronze blooms are extremely tanky and are much harder to take out compared to the other blooms. In most cases, you're better off just using knockback to throw those off the side. None of the blooms have knockback resistance, so you can technically use that strategy on all of them. Some are located too much in the center to use that strategy on them, but that works well for most of the sprouts, especially since most of them are located on the outer perimeter of the map. I do want to note that the sprouts themselves cannot be knocked off the side, so you can't knock the sprouts off the side before they turn into a bloom. Those can't be knocked back. When they turn into a bloom, you can knock any of those blooms off the map. As I stated before, you do have to destroy the sprouts in a particular order. If you don't, when the boss uses an AoE attack, which is what's within that red range, all of your characters will instantly die. It doesn't matter where they are on the map, or if you're outside the damage effect area. It's game over if he hits one of those sprouts with the skill. So you need to take the sprouts out in 4 phases, while attacking the boss in between. The order you need to destroy the sprouts is slightly different for difficulties 5 and 6. So I'll talk about each of them separately. For difficulty 5, your first targets are the 3 sprouts closest to the boss. This is a great time to use that Ragnarok tactics skill, so you could take out the blooms quickly and start working on the boss. Especially since you can't really hit these blooms off the side because they're so close to the center. And bringing characters with AoE is incredibly helpful for dispatching these blooms quickly. These strategies will also work for difficulty 6. And defeating the blooms will deal damage to the boss. So once you take out this set of blooms, you can start attacking the boss. You'll incrementally be dealing more damage to the boss as you eliminate more of the sprouts. And the boss will eventually apply the poison effect again to your characters. I do want to note the characters affected can change, so make sure you pay attention to who has the poison looking effect on them. Also, be careful with the poison slicks the boss applies to the ground, because if you're standing on one of those and the boss attacks you, the character will instantly die. Those are really hard to see on the map and can easily be missed. Look for the bubbly effect on the ground so you can avoid standing on those. So when your characters get that poison effect again for the second time, you'll want to stand near these 3 plants that I have circled in green, which you can use the knockback strategy on, especially the large plant on the top right. And it's the same pattern again. Stand next to those 3 sprouts, the boss will attack, and then they'll turn into blooms. Then take out the blooms and go back to attacking the boss. When the boss applies that poison effect for the 3rd time, these are the 3 plants that you'll want to target, and you'll follow the same pattern again. Defeat the blooms, then continue to attack the boss. And when the boss applies the poison effect for the 4th time, these are the 4 plants that you'll want to target. You can take out the boss before this point, but this is basically the sequence you need to destroy the sprouts so that you can progress through this stage and get that increased damage against the boss. So there is a back and forth between attacking the boss, taking out the blooms, but in either case, it's dealing damage to the boss. For difficulty 6, as I said before, there are more sprouts on the map, and 4 of your characters will be targeted by the poison effect. So your first targets will be the sprouts closest to the boss. Your second targets will be these 4. Make sure you don't overlook the sprout on the top corner. It's easy to miss, especially since it's not there in difficulty 5. Your third targets will be these 4 sprouts. And for the last targets, there's actually 6 sprouts. You can actually stand between the sprouts, so all 6 will spawn into blooms. And the pattern of doing this battle is exactly the same in difficulty 6 as it is in difficulty 5. There's simply more of the blooms that are going to spawn, and more characters are going to be targeted. Those are really the only differences. Whether you're doing difficulty 5 or 6, you need to make sure you keep your character's health topped off and manage your energy and skill cooldowns properly, especially for the knockback skills. You really don't want to get caught off guard and not have those skills available to you for dealing with the blooms. I'm sure you've already noticed, but this is the team I use for both difficulties 5 and 6. Tristan, Gloria, Homa, and Auguste all have knockback skills. SP, Safia, Homa, and Agata all provide healing. Tristan and Auguste both have strong AoE attacks and can chain combo skills together. And you get some nice offensive and defensive buffs from SP, Safia, Gloria, and Homa. So this is a really solid team for beating this stage, and for both difficulty levels 5 and 6, especially since you need to divide and conquer. People have used other characters as well, so you can always try those. Any character with good AoE and knockback will work. And of course, you'll want to bring healers and buffers on your team as well, for both sustain and for dealing increased damage to the boss. This stage can be confusing at first, but once you know how the strategy works, I think it's very doable. So hopefully this video helps you out with completing this stage. I'll be putting out another video for the lower floor boss as well, so you can look out for that. I'm also working on another detailed character build video, so if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe to my channel if you like that type of content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.